Why should Americans continue to fund a foreign military that's scraping the bottom of the barrel of its population like this?
Well, you have to understand very importantly, this is Biden's war. This is not my war. I'm here to get us out of it. It's a mess, and I'm here to get us out. I haven't heard that when you say about 60-year-old men and, et cetera. But this is Biden's war, and we're working very hard to get us out. I stopped 5 wars in the last 5 months, actually, and I'd like this to be the 6th, frankly, and that doesn't even include Iran with, obliterating their nuclear haul, because they would have had nuclear weapons within 2 months. But stopped a lot of wars. You just take a look at the ones just over the last 2 or 3 months. It's been amazing. This is the one I'm trying to stop. This is the one we're working hardest on. The other ones I stopped within a matter of days, almost every one of them, including India and Pakistan. And I could go over the whole list, but you know the list as well as I do. But this is the one we'd like to see. I haven't not heard that, but this is Biden's war.
India says that the U.S. imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
This is my video update on this Anyway, this is my video update on this Wednesday midday, August the 6th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Witkoff's visit to Moscow, which is happening right now as I am recording this video. Witkoff has landed in Moscow. Dmitriev, Putin's investment chief, foreign investment chief, who has a good relationship with Witkoff. I believe he met him at the airport. And it is expected that Witkoff will be meeting with Putin later on in the day. And we are getting reports that U.S. President Trump will issue a statement later this afternoon around, I want to say around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, U.S. Eastern time. About 11:30, 12 o'clock Moscow time is when Trump will be speaking, and he is expected to talk about Witkoff's meeting in Russia. The last chance for Putin to agree to the Kellogg ceasefire. This is Putin and Russia's last chance. Don't blow it, Russia. Do not blow it, Putin. Agree to the Kellogg ceasefire plan, or else sanctions, 100% sanctions on Russia, and secondary sanctions on countries that trade with Russia, China and India, and tariff Armageddon if Russia does not agree to the ceasefire proposal that Witkoff is most likely bringing once again to Moscow. Of course, there is always the possibility of a fake out surprise, and maybe, just maybe, Trump will say, you know what, I am going to tell Zelensky to agree to Istanbul plus 2024 root causes. I give it a 1% chance, or a 0.01% chance, but who knows? Maybe we will be surprised. Anyway, Bloomberg is saying that that Russia, out of the fear of tariff Armageddon, they will offer Trump an air truce. Russia weighs Ukraine air truce offer to Trump without ending the war. Yeah, that's what Bloomberg is reporting, and we know how reliable Bloomberg is in their coverage of Project Ukraine. So according to the very reliable, trustworthy people familiar with the matter, right? Those people familiar with the matter, we know who they are and we trust them, or we don't know who they are, but we trust them anyway. So people familiar with the matter spoke to Bloomberg, and they said that that Russia, in order to avoid tariff Armageddon, this Friday, August the 8th, buy your tickets online at Ticketmaster or dial 1-800 Armageddon. Anyway, to avoid tariff Armageddon, Bloomberg says that Putin is going to offer a truce, an air truce. No drones, no missiles, a no-fly zone, basically. As long as Ukraine agrees to it, if Ukraine agrees to it, because it's contingent on Ukraine agreeing, then Russia is going to offer this as a gift to Trump in order to pause or revoke tariff Armageddon, according to Bloomberg. A tribute to Trump. Please take our air truce. Tribute Trump. And spare us from tariff Armageddon. Show us mercy. Please do not start tariff Armageddon on Friday. This is according to Bloomberg and their very reliable people familiar with the matter. So Trump was speaking to the media, and I believe he writes for Zero Hedge, an excellent reporter, Liam Cosgrove. I do believe he contributes to Zero Hedge. He asked Trump an excellent question. He asked Trump about Ukraine enlisting the elderly and mentally handicapped into its military and the kidnappings of young, unwilling conscripts. And Trump's answer to Liam was, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. This is Biden's war. Next question. This is Biden's war, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And that was his response. He has not heard about the law that Zelensky signed the other day, which will conscript 60-year-olds and up to non-military activity. But of course, we know that eventually the non-military, non-combatant roles will become combatant roles. And that was the question from Liam. And Trump made it sound as if, made it look as if he had no clue about any of this stuff, any of this elderly conscription stuff. Do you guys believe that? I don't. But then again, maybe Trump has no idea what is going on. That is always a possibility. Or he's just playing ignorant, playing dumb, as he was speaking to the media, saying this is not his war. This is Biden's war, and I don't like it. He authorized $200 million in weapons to Ukraine. As he's speaking to the media, talking about Biden's war, and he's just trying to end it, Trump greenlit another $200 million in weapons to Project Ukraine. So an excellent question to Trump, and a terrible answer from Trump. An absolutely terrible answer from the U.S. president. He has no idea about the law that his puppet, the U.S.'s puppet, Zelensky, signed about elderly going into the military. He has no idea about the trucks, the vans that pull people off of the street and send them to the front line. Everyone knows about the vans that take people, that force people to the front lines. Everyone has seen the videos, but Trump, nope, he has no idea about what is going on in Ukraine. He just wants to end it. He just wants to end it as he sends 200 million in military equipment to the Zelensky regime. So the Financial Times is reporting that Trump is going to be placing sanctions on Russia's shadow fleet. U.S. president has threatened Vladimir Putin with punitive measures to force him to end war in Ukraine. So now it's Trump's turn to take on the shadow fleet, the mysterious shadow ghost fleet of the Russian Federation, which are really just ships. It's a clever name. They're good at marketing. You have to give it to the collective West and the U.S. EU scriptwriters. They're very good at coming up with these types of names and marketing narratives. But the shadow fleet are just basically ships that are not insured by London. That's pretty much it. There's a little more to it, but that's pretty much it. And Trump's going to go after the shadow fleet now. Biden tried to go after the shadow fleet. Ursula and stunning and brave Kaja Kallas and Burrell, they all tried to go after Russia's shadow fleet. Now it is Daddy Trump's turn to try and bring down the shadow fleet. The shadow fleet is everywhere. It is all over. It is all over us. The shadow fleet. It's in the air. It's in the water. It's in the garden. The shadow fleet. Oh man, CNN is this is Trump's war. This is so Trump's war. It's so much your war, Trump. My God, you've made it into your war, and you will suffer the defeat. It's going to be blamed on you, President Trump, and you're not going to be able to avoid the blame. Anyway, CNN is saying that secondary sanctions aimed at Russia would hurt America's own economy. Yeah, I don't think anyone's surprised about this CNN report. Absolutely, the secondary sanctions on India, but more importantly on China, 100% tariff sanctions. Everyone's just using the same word now, tariff and sanctions. It's become the same word. But yeah, 100% tariffs, sanctions on China. That is going to hurt the U.S. economy. CNN is saying it's going to hurt businesses. It's going to cause inflation. It's not going to be good for the United States of America. CNN says, but if peace in Ukraine still looks remote and Trump goes ahead with his plan, the new cudgel could hit America's own economy through more expensive consumer goods, lower profit margins for American companies, and possibly higher oil prices, analysts told CNN. Not probably higher oil prices. I would say definitely higher oil prices. But Trump's going to do it anyway. Trump knows this. Trump knows that the sanctions are not going to work, the secondary sanctions. He knows it's not going to work. He said it many times. It's not going to work. The Russians are wily characters. They're wily characters. And it's not going to work. But he's going to do it anyway because this has just become ritualistic in a way. It's what I said in my video from a couple of days ago. It is the coyote, and the coyote was Biden. Now it's Trump. It's the coyote chasing the roadrunner. That's what this has become. and the roadrunner always gets away. Always gets away, except for the one time when he turned into the gigantic roadrunner. The coyote caught him, but not in a good way. Anyway, that is the Financial Times. We are getting reports now that the EU, following up on Trump's tariff increases on India, and he's going to increase the tariffs more, not just 25%. He's now going to increase that tariff rate, though he has not said what the new tariff rate is going to be. I think it's going to be a tariff rate of 1 gazillion percent, if that's even a number. Anyway, the EU is now going to prepare sanctions against India because India continues to buy oil from Russia and Iran. That's right. EU is preparing a package of sanctions against India for buying oil from Russia and Iran, according to South Asia Index. So whatever the US does, the EU has to follow. So let's try to figure out what is going on here. So the EU places sanctions on Russian oil. Russian oil was going from Russia to Europe directly. From Russia to Europe, they're right next door to each other. But the EU decides to place sanctions on Russian oil. So Russian oil then goes to India, where it's refined and then gets sold back to the European Union at higher prices than what it would have been from Russia directly to Europe, because they're right next door to each other. And now the EU wants to sanction India because the Russian oil goes to India, then goes back to the EU, and the EU needs that Russian oil. It needs that Russian energy from India. It's been a willing buyer of that Russian energy from India. The Russian energy, the Russian oil going to India, then going to the EU. The EU had to buy it. The Biden administration encouraged this setup. Yeah, the prices are going to be more. Yes, European Union citizens are going to pay more in their energy costs, but what does the United States care? What did Biden care? But at least it provides some stability, because we can't just completely cut off oil going to the European Union, Russian oil going to the European Union, because the European Union, they had, and they still do not have a proper replacement for the Russian energy. So Biden actually encouraged this. But now the European Union, under the rule of Donald Trump, is going to sanction the oil from India going to Europe. What are they doing? It's deliberate, man. It is deliberate. They want to destroy Europe. They want to destroy Europe. As I said yesterday, the elites, they want to destroy Europe. The European elites want to destroy Europe. The US elites want to destroy Europe. It's deliberate. All of this is just freaking deliberate. So, Yermach, go figure, Yermach, he claims that Ukraine, upon studying one of the downed Russian drones, that they found Indian components. How about that, man? How about that? They found Indian components in one of the Russian drones that was downed. Interesting how that works, huh? Just yesterday, Yermach revealed that the Russian drones had Indian components in them. Man, the timing's amazing, isn't it? Yermach also wrote an article in the Washington Post. Yermach wrote this article in the Washington Post. If you believe that, well then, I've got something to sell you. I don't know what, but I got something big to sell you. If you believe that Yermach, Zelensky's entertainment lawyer, wrote an article in the Washington Post, and the title of this article in the WAPO from Andrei Yermach is "How to Shut Down Putin's War Machine. President Trump's warnings to Russia are welcome, but pressure must follow for peace to be possible." So let me summarize this article from Andrei Yermach. How to shut down Putin's war machine. Give us money, give us weapons, give us more money, and place more sanctions on Russia and China and India and Iran and everyone. Just place sanctions on everyone. In order to destroy Russia, using Ukraine as the proxy, but in order to destroy Russia, the collective West is destroying itself. Really bizarre. Anyway, that's Yermach and his article in the Washington Post. By the way, the national security advisor, or the national security official for India, I want to say his name is Goval. The national security advisor, Ajit Doval, is going to be in Russia this week to discuss S-400 missile systems. India has, I believe, 3 S-400s, and it's going to get another 2, and it wants to buy more. You want to know what India is not buying? US F-35s. Yeah, this is a message from India, no doubt about it. Even though this trip was already planned before Trump went crazy with tariffs on India. This trip was planned before that, but still, it's still a message. I think India to the United States, to the Trump administration. We don't want the F-35s, but we absolutely are going to buy more S-400s. So that's India. That's India's response to the attacks from the collective West. Bringing BRICS closer together. That's what Trump's going to be known for. Uniting BRICS. Oh, what else? What else do we have to talk about? Oh, this is great. This is great. Trump was on CNBC, and he was asked about the EU trade deal and the reports which claim that the $600 billion that Trump said he has secured from the European Union in investment into the United States, that this $600 billion from the EU is fiction, that the EU cannot invest $600 billion into the United States as the European Union. It doesn't have the mandate, the authority to do this. Only companies in Europe can invest in the United States, and the EU cannot compel them to invest money into the United States. And Trump was asked about this. So President Trump, you said, as you were meeting with Ursula in Scotland, that the EU, and this is what Trump said. I went back and saw the video again. Trump read out the statement, and Ursula was sitting next to him. And Trump said that he has secured $600 billion in an EU investment into the United States, above and beyond what they have already invested into the United States, above and beyond, he said. But that's what Trump said, $600 billion from the European Union into the United States, and Ursula was sitting right next to him, and she said nothing. She said nothing. She did not refute these claims from Trump. She did not correct Trump as he was reading out the terms of the deal. She didn't say, excuse me, Mr. US President, that's not what we agreed on, or the European Union. I just have to tell you, the European Union cannot actually invest money into the United States, though maybe we can't force companies to invest in the United States, but maybe we can try to put in a good word. That's the most that the European Union can do. It can try to encourage companies to invest into the United States, but it can't force them to invest in the United States. And the EU cannot take money and invest it directly into the United States. Anyway, Ursula said nothing. She said nothing. She did nothing. She just sat next to Trump and nodded. She nodded along. And, I talked about this when I was discussing this story. And I said that the difference between the trade deals that the U.S. allegedly made with Japan and South Korea, and the trade deal that they're kind of working on with China, the big difference with those deals and this EU deal is that in this EU deal you have the President of the United States and whatever Ursula is for Europe, right? The elected President of the United States and the unelected Commissioner for Europe. They're sitting next to each other, and the President of the United States is reading out the agreed upon terms. You didn't have this dynamic with Japan, with South Korea, with China. That was not the case. So, I mean, the whole world saw Trump and Ursula side by side as the terms were being read out, and there was no pushback whatsoever from Ursula, who has the authority to negotiate on the European Union's behalf, right? So that's the difference. That's the big difference. And so now the European Union is saying, we can't really, as the European Union, we can't invest 600 billion. Anyway, to make a long story short, Trump was asked about this, and boy, did he get upset. He got upset. He said that this money is not a loan. Said it's not a loan. The EU said they're going to give it to us. It's a gift, he said. It's a gift to the United States. It's a gift to me, and I can use this money however I want. I can invest it in whichever way I want. And if the EU does not follow through, then we may be looking at 30 or 35% tariffs, right?
Well, then they pay tariffs of 35%. No, they brought down their tariffs. So they paid $600 billion. And because of that, I reduced their tariffs from 30% down to 15%. And a couple of countries came, how come EU is paying less than us? And I said, well, because they gave me $600 billion. And that's a gift. That's not like, a loan, by the way. That's not a loan that, 3 years comes up, we have to pay it back. There's nothing to pay back. They gave us $600 billion that we can invest in anything we want.
The deal that you
and nobody knows it, Becky. Nobody knows it because they don't know.
No, we have been trying to figure out the details on that, Mr. President. So
there are no details.
The clarity on that.
The details are $600 billion to invest in anything I want. Anything.
Okay.
I can do anything I want with it.
I knew this was going to happen. I saw this coming. Ursula just sat there. She sat there nodding along and said nothing. And now Trump is saying, time to pay. And you know what? He's kind of right. He's kind of right. Of course, the EU can go back on this deal. And I imagine they are going to find a way to go back, and they are going to find a way to convince Trump or pressure Trump. I don't know. Maybe Macron will sweet talk Trump or something like that. And Trump will agree on some sort of a walk back. That's going to look weak, but still. Trump kind of has a point. I sat there. I read you the terms. You didn't say anything. Now it's time to pay up. Anyway, enough of that story. What else? What's happening on the front lines? The Russian military, they smashed Odessa, the Odessa region, yesterday with drones, and I also believe they sent some Iskanders as well. Once again, no Ukraine air defense to be found. And the target is interesting. What makes this story interesting is that allegedly Russia was targeting a gas compression station, the Orlovka gas compression station. And the analysis, the thinking, is that this station is where Azerbaijan was sending energy to Europe, through Ukraine to Europe via this station. And this is Russia's way of telling Aliyev to not do these things, to back off. So I think that's the interesting part to this strike in the Odessa region. By the way, there were reports which claimed that you could see the strikes in the Odessa region on this gas compression station from Romania. That's how close This was to the border with Romania. So Trump is also preparing a peace treaty signing event in DC at the White House, I believe, either in a couple of days or next week, between Azerbaijan and Armenia. They've been working on some sort of a peace arrangement, the two countries that have been fighting off and on now for 30 years. And Trump is ready to get Aliyev and Pashinyan to the White House so that they can sign some sort of an agreement or some sort of a preliminary agreement and an agreement to agree or something like that. And this is going to be a big win for Trump, and it will take him one step closer to getting the Nobel Peace Prize in, I believe, in December. But those are the reports which say that a deal is very, very close. And one of the sticking points to get to a deal has to do with the corridor that connects, well, the corridor that is Armenian territory, but Azerbaijan needs that corridor in order to reach its enclave, which is an isolated enclave. And one of the sticking points of the agreement is how to deal with the corridor. It got to the point where the U.S. said that they will monitor the corridor, American troops, and Armenia said no, that's unacceptable. And then Turkey said maybe a private company, and I believe Azerbaijan said that's not acceptable. Anyway, I don't know how they're going to work that out, but we'll see if there is a peace deal that is reached or some sort of a pretext to a peace deal. Pashinyan wants to get into NATO and the EU really bad. He is really pushing hard for a shift of Armenia into the EU and NATO. And Azerbaijan is not to be trusted, man. Whatever you sign with Azerbaijan, Armenia, if you sign something, I don't think that agreement is going to hold. Azerbaijan, they've got their eyes on more territory in Armenia, and Pashinyan, in my opinion, is falling right into a very big trap in his pursuit of moving Armenia into the European Union and into NATO. A lot of money to be made for the elites if they can get into NATO or into the EU. That's what this is all about. Anyway, that's the update there. And do I have some more news? How we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing all right on time. Trump said that he's not going to run for a third term. Oh, man, it's hot. Yeah, he said he's not going to run for a third term. He's not even eligible to run for a third term according to the Constitution. There are ways. Some people claim there are ways that he can bypass this if he runs as vice president or stuff like that, or if he abolishes the amendment which says that he can't run. Anyway, he keeps on getting asked this question about a third term, and Trump said, most likely, I'm not going to run again. Anyway, he then kind of endorsed J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. That was kind of his endorsement. But it's interesting the way they phrase it, the reporters. For the reporters, it's more like a coronation. Who's going to be the next leader of MAGA is what they said. And Trump was like, J.D. Vance is doing a good job, so I can see J.D. Vance, but there's other people as well, he said. There's other contenders, and then he said Marco Rubio would be a good combination for Vance. Who's going to lead MAGA? I don't know. I think Trump is destroying MAGA, if you want my opinion. Or he's definitely not not following through on what it means to be America first. But anyway, that's a whole nother video. Diddy's lawyer claims that he has approached Trump for a pardon. The attorney for Sean Combs confirms they've approached the Trump administration about a pardon, according to CNN. What else? What else? The U.S. House is going to subpoena the Clintons and other people in order to learn more about Epstein. U.S. House subpoenas Clintons and ex-FBI directors. The U.S. officials have been ordered to testify in an oversight probe involving late convicted offender Epstein. The other people that the House is going to subpoena include Merrick Garland, Bill Barr, Alberto Gonzalez, Jeff Sessions, Loretta Lynch, and Eric Holder, as well as Comey and Mueller, so they can get a better understanding of Epstein. It sounds to me like this is about buying time, delay tactics and buying time. That's what it sounds like to me. But anyway, we'll see what happens. August 18th and 19th is when the depositions are set to begin. And they're going to run all the way through mid-October. And to no one's surprise, the anti-corruption agency, NABU, that has now been reconstituted, they found corruption in Ukraine's military. I'm shocked. I am shocked. That's right. Ukrainian officials busted in large-scale military bribery scheme. Several high-ranking suspects pocketed up to 30% in kickbacks on drone and electronic warfare contracts. Anti-corruption watchdog claims. You see that? Already, NABU is busting corruption schemes already. So what's the message here? The message is actually quite simple. It's now safe for the U.S. to send money to Project Ukraine because NABU is back on the case. That's right. That's right, people in America. No need to worry about all of your billions, your next 55 billion that will be sent to Project Ukraine. NABU will make sure that there is no corruption, right? Right. Did you guys know that the finance minister is now going to be the temporary prime minister of Lithuania? Finance minister takes over as Lithuanian PM after fall of the government. Lithuania's government was Zelensky cursed because of a corruption scandal. The former prime minister, I believe, was involved in some sort of a corruption scandal. And the government collapsed. And now they're putting together a new government. So that's an update there. And should we do some clown worlds? Let's do some clown worlds. And there you can see the Russian shadow fleet right there. That's the Russian shadow fleet. Let me zoom in so you can get a look at Russia's shadow fleet. There it is, everybody. The shadow fleet. You see all of it? All of those little boats with the white sails. That's the Russian shadow fleet. So Mark Levin of Fox News, he's back to talking about Russia, his obsession with Russia and Putin. He posted a New York Post article which talks about Putin's secret daughter. That's right. Mark Levin says Putin's secret daughter unloads on him, pivots to supporting Ukraine. My God. Putin's secret daughter, who is not so secret, I guess. All right. Not so secret. Putin's not so secret daughter, according to this article from the New York Post. Putin's secret daughter laments father who killed millions and destroyed her life as she pivots to support Ukraine. Russian President Putin's alleged secret daughter spoke out against her father in a cryptic post condemning the man who destroyed her and took millions of lives. It's liberating to be able to show my face to the world again, she wrote. Bild reported. Bild is in on this. It reminds me of who I am and who destroyed my life. Russian President Putin's alleged secret daughter. Russian President Putin's alleged secret daughter. Should we break down that sentence? And the Denmark Zoo is under fire because I didn't believe this story when it came out a couple of days ago. From CBS News, actually, is where I saw this story initially. But now it's being confirmed by all of the mainstream media news outlets. And they are saying that the zoo in Denmark, the Aalborg Zoo, wants people to donate their healthy pets to the zoo's predators, so the zoo's predators can eat people's healthy pets. We're talking about chickens, rabbits, guinea pigs, horses. Aalborg Zoo made the appeal in a Facebook post last week, claiming it aimed to imitate the natural food chain and provide proper nutrition for its predators. Chickens, rabbits, guinea pigs form an important part of the diet of our predators, the post read. That way, nothing goes to waste, and we ensure natural behavior, nutrition, and well-being for our predators. This Facebook post from this zoo is not good. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Anyway, what do I know? That's the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. Give a like to this video, maybe subscribe to this channel. Check us out on Rumble and on Telegram and X. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, maybe pick up a hat, maybe pick up one of our new Duran t-shirts. And I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.